Right, North America. Wow, wow, wow. What a day you had. 8 hours of pure esports. It was insane. Absolute insanity to stick around and watch. 4 reverse sweeps that day. It was incredible. And Tribe, you are the talking point because, oh my goodness, you had the biggest fall off from that third game onwards in the finals. And we will be reviewing what went well for Tribe in the first 2 games and where it all went south. Round 1, we are in Brawl Ball Sneaky Fields. This is a massive chance for some tank plays, especially given that Frank, Glober and a few other tanks have been left open through the ban phase. The first bans are Nito, Shelly and Chester from Tribe. Shelly and Chester being really good strong tank counters. And on the side of Only Realm, they've gone with Bull, Crow, Otis. Otis being another tank counter, and Bull being a tank himself who's been really strong in the meta. Of course, global bans include the BB, but there's still the chance of Frank, Buster, Trunk, and just any other pretty good tank in the meta. Tribe first picked the Shade, which is actually an insanely underrated pick. I think it's an incredible pick, being able to hide behind walls and deal damage through them, but also his super just being so fast and just causing so much havoc for the enemy team. Only Realm, they pick up the Pierce and the Frank. Pierce for his high DPS, and Frank of course being a tank himself, and he'll be able to open up some walls, hoping to nullify that Shade pick. Tribe then respond with their final 2 picks of Max and Primo, Max being a pretty good support brawler with the speed, and Primo hopefully getting his supers off to stun the Frank. And Tribe, they go with a Stu last pick with the agility and his supers being charged really quickly to just get the ball up when they're in tight situations. Overall, some pretty good drafting here and I'm pretty happy with this. So as we go into round 1, it goes pretty quickly. Tribe split 3 ways with RBM and Luffy taking the lanes and Diego Gamer on the max taking the middle. A nice balance there. Meanwhile, Only Realm have gone with an unbalanced lane selection here. The Frank and Pierce have stacked onto each other, with the Frank acting as a meat shield in the middle for the Pierce to land some shots. Now, under normal circumstances, this would be okay. However, you've got to remember there's a Shade and Primo here, and they do AoE damage. They would be able to hit both Pierce and Frank here, and that's what happens here. The Shade gets on through, gets some pretty nice hits on the Frank, and is able to take him down before taking down the rest of the team and allowing Tribe to get their first goal. After kickoff, Sands and Frank, they break open the walls in the 2 sections here, trying to give themselves and the Pierce the range advantage and also be able to see when the Shade was approaching, and they're able to push back Tribe to behind their goal. But thanks to a max hyper super at spawn, they're able to flush around, get some kills, and they're able to put this ball in the back of the net, giving them the set lead. Starting round 2, Only Realm decide to split their lanes now, more aware of the dangers the Shade can cause. Stu is responsible for pinning the Shade down on the right side, whilst Pierce holds down the middle. Now, Primo manages to get a good reset on the Frank there, and they're able to get a good push, but they are countered by a Pierce clutch. This pushes the ball forward, and they manage to get a goal. Although the Stu did miss a really easy chance, the Frank does cover up for them. Straight from the off, Primo and Shade put in the hard work to take down the Frank quickly and get the team wipe, and they level this match up. It just shows how important it is for Only Realm to keep their Frank alive. But before we know it, a very clever noise cancelling gadget from the Frank prevents a Primo getting the reset from Frank's super, and he's able to take down the Primo and take down the rest of the team, helping Only Realm tie this game up 1-1. Now it's only a question of whether they can do it again, and although they do manage to get the lead through some pretty good Pierce shots and a Frank super, Tribe have the max hyper super at the start of the reset to charge at Only Realm and get the returning goal. Shade then has a hyper super and is able to shut down the Frank, get the team wipe and get the goal they need to get themselves 1 game ahead. Now reviewing this game quickly, the MVPs were the Shade and Primo. Primo doing really good at shutting down the Frank quite a bit and also defending that one chance against the Stu. But the Shade did really good hiding behind walls, getting those criticals, getting those team wipes, and just being real menace for Onirelm. I personally think for Onirelm, the Pierce was a questionable pick. It can be really effective, but the Shade made that problematic, and also the map just did not favour the Pierce. Maybe a tank counter or another tank would have been more appropriate here, but by all means not a terrible pick, not a terrible performance by Onirelm, but Tribe did outshine in this first game. Game 2, we are at Dueling Beetles, and we are looking at these bans. The Poco and Globet bans are to prevent any insane healing combinations. A Bull, Nita and Crow ban is made due to their newly released hypers, and a Ziggy ban to prevent those supers which are so strong and underrated right now thanks to his recent buff. Tribe go first again with a solid Lu pick, his Icy super making it really hard to stay on the zone and just great control for when they need to get a turnover of possession immediately. Onirelm respond with a Finks and Pierce, two incredible brawlers for this map. Pierce's range and damage helps shut down the tanks, and Finks' super will help hold down the zone, adding valuable seconds to the percentage counter. Tribe add a Leon to their draft who's been incredible in the meta thanks to his buffies, especially his lollipop gadget, which will be incredibly helpful here to put pressure on Relm. And Ems, who we've not seen much of this month, but she is a devastating threat when on the zone. Relm final pick a Griff, hoping to make great use of his super, wall break and overall DPS. Starting round 1, Relm do get the team wipe and some percentage, but they don't have the numbers or Finks super to hold down control for long. Remember, Finks super is great for maintaining control in the middle, but not for gaining control. They are looking to be in a defending position rather than an attacking one for this game. Where Tribe have a bit of both. The Leon can deal chip damage from afar and get takedowns up close. Lu's super can put pressure on the enemy to step up the zone, and Ems is just a great defensive brawler by holding down these choke points with the Lu, stopping Onirelm making any comeback into this match. Notice here how Lu uses his super on the left, forcing the enemy into this choke point on the right side. This is perfect for Ems to land some hits if Relm get too close, and this is a perfectly choreographed victory for Tribe. Round 2, the Griff opens up this corner wall. It provides space for the Pierce to retreat when threatened, but also far enough to shoot into the zone, and it also prevents Relm getting spawn camped if they happen to be team wiped at any point. At this point in the game, Tribe have so much control. The M super is able to shut down his left side from the Finks, and the Lu's freeze is able to shut down the right side, and Tribe have temporarily blocked off Onirelm on both sides of the map. They are unable though to hold it down for long as Ems makes a mistake going forward, which allows Pierce and Finks to take it down. This enables Relm to make an attempt at zone control. And you can see how problematic the Leon is for Relm, as he can get 3 sneak attacks in a row, providing some difficulty for Relm, but they are able to stand firmly on the zone and secure a round win, taking themselves to a match point. Round 3, very similar start to the others. When the Ems falls, Lu has a super available, and instead of just trying to shut down the Sphinx on the left, he holds on until Relm are in full control of the center and then uses his super. This enables Tribe to push up the map and regain control. Very good patience from Diego Gamer there. However, Relm are able to really hold onto the middle, and they manage to get lots of essential kills, taking themselves to a 92% lead. But then they decide to back off here when a lollipop super is placed. It's in a very dangerous and unreachable position, and they are unable to return to the middle again after this. Furthermore, given that the Ems was about to use a hyper super, and that would have definitely won the match. However, in those situations, I think you need to hold down your ground. It is already very unlikely that Onirelm will win here, so the best plan of action is to either try to get the 100% or waste Tribe's utility. That is my opinion, but instead they decide to head back to spawn, and Tribe were able to hold down the zone for the rest of the game and secure a 2-0 lead in these finals. Reviewing the game, Leon and Ems were star players, which is not surprising given that they are the buffy brawlers. Luffy on the Leon had an incredible game, able to sneak around and get those takedowns on Relm, causing chaos at every opportunity. Just like how Crazy Raccoon played Zeta Division in the East Asia monthly finals, a video that I recommend you go and watch after this. And the Ems is such a strong brawler and is able to defend the zone so well. Relum had a great draft too, but they were not able to hold down the zone for as long as they needed to. If they had a brawler that could stun or apply more pressure onto Tribe, I think we would have a different outcome, because the Finks would be able to use more supers effectively in order to stay on the zone. Well played from Tribe again, and another unfortunate loss from only Relum. But as we all know, it's not over. Game 3 knockout in Bell's Rock. There are many ways to play this, but the way Tribe wanted to play was controlled, picking up the gene that will be useful getting those pulls and turning the game on its head in an instant. Relum picked up the Byron for the long range matchup and Leon for those sneaky plays. Tribe respond with a squeak and bow to finish up their lane setup. Overall for Tribe, it's a weird draft as they have no brawler that applies any real pressure or threat onto Relum, and Relum punished Tribe by choosing Daryl. Usually an unusual pick when not in a cheese comp, and will spend most of the game just waiting for his super and relying on teammates. However, when the time comes, he would definitely cause problems for Tribe in the late game. In the first round, he is able to roll into Tribe, forcing them back to the smoke where the Byron and Squeak can come and get the team wipe. In round 2, we see again Tribe do not want to put any pressure on Relum, and are grouping up together scared of the Daryl roll. Although staying together will increase their chances of surviving the Daryl attack, they are losing so much control and positioning, which enables Relum to push higher and charge the Leon super that synergizes well with the Daryl roll. Tribe wait way too long to make any kind of play, and as expected, they fall like dominoes in one swift motion. In round 2, the Bow and Jean switch up on the left lane in hopes to obtain their supers before the Daryl has time to charge his own. But then they retreat again to their low positioning and now inevitably waiting for their death as the smoke creeps in on their back. Fortunately, Luffy is able to survive thanks to a bow gadget rework, and in the final round a failed Daryl roll combined with a good gene pool helps Tribe secure a surprising set win. At the start of round 3, Relum understand that they will always win when the smoke creeps in, so are happily waiting for that smoke to come while Daryl gains his super, and that's basically how the rest of this match goes. Overall, a really poor performance from Tribe. The Daryl roll was one clever pick from only Relum, but Tribe needed to respond with either an aggressive brawler such as Ali, Mortis, Kaze in their draft, or make an effort to gain some control before the inevitable happened. It was a very one-sided game and they were lucky enough to get a set win. Overall, one oversight in their selection was exploited by only Relum, giving them the confidence they now needed to make a real attempt at reverse sweep. Game 4 Safe Zone Heist. Tribe pick up the Otis first pick, and this would be an excellent tank counter normally, but there are no tanks here as the BB, Bull and Chuck have all been banned. I think this pick, although not usually bad, is unrequired in this situation. Relum capitalised on this by drafting the Kaze and Bell, two incredibly strong and popular picks, as the Kaze can deal lots of damage on safe and the Bell is an excellent long range defensive unit. Tribe then pick up Glober and Daryl. Honestly, I don't know about these picks. Daryl is a viable replacement for the Bull and can take on Kaze face to face in a base race, but Glober will not be able to keep up with the Daryl and does not have enough DPS to help defend. Relum pick up the Aper, and this is for sure a Relum game. Really weird and frankly not a great draft from Tribe. Tribe actually find themselves dominating the first part of the game, with Glober, despite what I said about him, really helping his teammates with healing and putting pressure on the enemy team. This helps Daryl get up the map and destroy the safe, whilst the Glober and Otis stay in the mids, giving time and space for Daryl to push and cause chaos. The repeated rolls onto the enemy safe gives Tribe the first set. However, as Relum readjust to their opponent's draft, they find themselves in a good rhythm, and in games 2 and 3 they are able to maintain possession of the center lane and land heavy shots on Tribe's safe. The Bell is able to deny Daryl's attempts to crack the safe easily, enabling the rest of the team to burst through all 4 shields of Tribe and claim a fairly undisputed Heist game mode win. Heist is a game mode about having the best defense, and although the first game they managed to overpower only Relum, when they needed to defend in the following game, Tribe were nowhere to be seen. Daryl is powerless at ranged matchup and therefore is a defensive liability. Otis can stun the opponents but is always in a 2v1 situation, and the Glober is not powerful enough to force the enemy team back. These problems are exposed by Relum, who can deal more damage, hold better control, and they just dominate this game. Another poor draft from Tribe, punishing themselves in another match point loss. Final round, Shooting Star Bounty, and this is the last chance for Tribe to not get humbled in a reverse sweep. There's lots of effective brawlers that have been left open, and Relum decided to go with Leon, Pierce and Sprout. Leon is brilliant for the sneak attacks, Pierce has the range damage, and Sprout can hide behind the walls and control the tempo of the game. And even more effective due to the non-threatening brawlers on the side of Tribe, who opt to go with Angelo and Byron for some great range damage and 8-bit for the high DPS. Some decent picks, but will Tribe be able to stop only Relum in a reverse sweep? Round 1, Relum pick up the blue star and take an early lead through a Pierce and Angelo trade. The range of Tribe means nothing when Leon is hiding behind a wall with a lollipop gadget and Sprout is stopping 8-bit pushing up the left lane. It's a great defense from Relum, and they have managed to hold on with little effort until the end of the game. Tribe need to find a way to get up the map and gain a lead, as maintaining an advantage in Heist is much easier than trying to gain one. Tribe managed to gain a lead in round 2, but when the time comes to defend, Sands on the Sprout creates a wall and a bottleneck, and it enables Leon and Pierce to get the kills they need to rescue their lead. Relum then defend the blue star, being the only difference in the scoreline, and thanks to the Sprout walls, they secure their victory and become the first team of 2026 to win back-to-back reverse sweeps in the monthly finals finale.
Tribe have got to go quite rapidly now with the hypercharge taking again. Gets a nice kill there as well. It's neck and neck. The blue star still on the side here of Only Realm. Can they hold on to these last final few seconds? Sprout wall goes down. It's going to force Stroke all the way to the right hand side. It's looking good. And Only Realm seal it. A reverse sweep. And they are your champions of March. 2 reverse sweeps today for them. Absolutely unreal. They are back in North America.
With all the games fully reviewed, we need to talk about where Tribe went wrong. They had an incredibly strong start to the finals, back-to-back excellent drafts and back-to-back wins, but it all crumbled in knockout when Relum chose the Daryl. The immense pressure and threat that the Daryl put on Tribe scared them so much that they didn't even show up that game. And maybe the fear carried through to Heist, where they decided to choose Daryl, Glober and Otis. Their only win condition was the Daryl. Glober was not able to assist his teammate at the enemy safe, and the Otis was struggling to have any real moments of sustained usefulness. And then Bounty, they did not have the draft to make an impact, letting themselves get pinched and bullied at any defensive moment. So from a team that started with great drafting and composure, they crumbled in the last 3 games. And honestly, I don't know what they were thinking. Their drafting was just not there, and they just lost their games because of them. On an individual basis, they all played really well, and they had practiced lots. They said they had played over 500 sets of games, and maybe the fatigue was getting to them. But I'd love to know what happened in those games, what they were thinking, drafting, win rate, because I could see that practice reflecting the first 2 sets, but after that, it just all fell out the window. Brawl Ball, you could tell with the Primo and Shade and also the Max, they were going for attack and pressure. Hot Zone, they were looking for some control. But after that, I couldn't really understand their game plan. Knockout, they were going for the lane matchups, but when Relum chose the Daryl, they all just clumped up and tried to be defensive. Heist, I don't even know what the draft was, but it did not have any great execution. And Bounty had a decent draft, but he just had no aggressive brawlers. I'm going to keep banging on about this, but a big factor was the lack of aggressive brawlers in the last 3 games. Against Shade Primo, excellent aggression in Brawl Ball, Leon and Ems being good aggressive brawlers in Hot Zone, and then nothing afterwards. And that's just unacceptable in today's game. With 100 brawlers to choose from, you need to more than ever diversify your brawler roles and game plans, looking towards an aggressive brawler, a high DPS brawler and a control brawler for most game modes. but it felt like Tribe were tripling down on control brawlers. You can win the games you control, but you can't control the games you don't fight for. For example, Bounty. Sprout was the last pick for Realm, and they were very happy to choose it because they knew their opponents had no answer to it. All three being long range brawlers that cannot shoot through walls and are just not naturally aggressive, meaning they could pick the safe brawler like Sprout that applies the pressure to clump the enemy team up, enabling the Pierce and Leon to just sweep through the scrambled Tribe. In conclusion, Tribe just seemed to switch off their game plan after gaining that 2-0 lead. They forgot to be aggressive and expose themselves to aggression. But that's my analysis and my opinions on Tribe's performance in the monthly finals. And honestly, I think they were also pretty lucky to beat Electros in a close 3-2 win in the semis. They're looking pretty nervy for next month, and I'm kind of uncertain if they'll even make it for Brawl Cup qualification. They were best than last month, but they still have a lot to do and a lot to learn. Thank you for watching. Please comment below what you think of Tribe's performance. I'll see you all in the next one.